What is RMI? It is a Java API that is used to create distributed application. So what is an API in the first place? API is a set of routines, protocols and tools for building applications. And what are distributed applications? Distributed applications are applications or software that is run on multiple computers within a network. What is the specialty of RMI? The specialty of RMI is that it allows objects to invoke methods in another object residing in a completely different memory space. In RMI, there is a middleman in the communication between the client and the server, and it is called the remote object. Now let's see the overview of RMI networking. Here, there is a client and a server machine. The client needs to call an object that is in the server. In remote servers, object can't be directly accessed. It can be accessed only through remote interface. Remote interface is the bridge between the client and the server. So let's see why we require RMI. Let's say we have a class A and it has variables and functions. And we have a class B in which the object of class A is created within the main function of class B. Here, the object creation obj is the pointer to the object and the new A constructor is the object itself, and then by that object a method is called, which is the show method. When we create the object, there is a heap memory in which the object gets stored along with its address in the heap memory. In the stack memory, the object name that we have given is stored against the address, and as of now the program resides in a single JVM. What if the calling function that is inside the main function of class B in our example is in a different JVM from the JVM that has the function definition, that is the show method inside class A in our example. In this case, class A, which has the main implementation of the function, is the server, and the class B, which calls the function, is the client. On creating the object from the client side, the reference gets stored in its stack memory. And in the server side, when the object gets called, it is created inside the heap memory with its corresponding address. Now let's see how a client and a server communicates. Client and a server communicates through two entities. They are stub and skeleton. Let's see a diagram to see how stub and skeleton fits inside the client and server communication. The arrow points to the stub and the skeleton. What is a stub? A stub is an object which acts as a gateway for the client side. All outgoing requests are routed through it. What is a skeleton then? A skeleton is an object which acts as a gateway for the server side. All incoming requests are routed through it. Now let's see the steps for remote method invocation. The first step is creating the remote interface. Here, creating a remote interface is nothing but creating a Java file with an interface. Second, implementation of remote interface. Implementing the remote interface is nothing but creating another Java file that implements the interface created in the first step. The third step is compiling the stub and the skeleton. Compiling the stub and the skeleton is done when the lastly created Java class extends unicast remote object, which we will see in the upcoming slides. Fourth is starting the registry. Registry is started in the server side. We will see shortly the need for a registry. And the fifth, create and start server. So create and start the server is nothing but running the server program. And finally, we have to create and start the client. Now let's see why we need a registry. In the previous example, we were seeing about calling a method called show from the server machine. Let's say there are multiple objects named show in the heap memory. How can we look for the exact object that we need? You can say that we can call by the addresses of the object, but the problem is we, the client, do not know the address inside server's heap memory, and therefore a registry is created where every object has its address along with a unique caption. By using a caption, we can invoke the object that we need right from our client side. Now let's create a remote interface, which is basically a Java file. Interface keyword represents an interface, and let's give it a name add I and make it public. And let's give the function declaration for addition, which takes in two parameters. For the interface to be a remote interface, we are extending the class with remote class. The remote class is a part of java.rmi which we need to import. Since it's a remote method call, communication related exceptions may occur. So we throw exception. Let's create another Java file. It has a public class named addC. It implements the interface addI that we created in the previous slide. It also implements the abstract method of the addI interface. The class addC extends unicast remote object. This is where we intend to create stub and skeleton, which are features of remote object. For throwing the remote exception if encountered, we call a constructor of the class which throws exception. To throw the exception, we need constructor methods from the unicast remote objects constructor. We inherit the methods of unicast remote objects constructor by using the super keyword inside the constructor of the server class. Now let's create another Java file to create an object that has the method add, and let's bind it in the registry. This is the purpose of this code. We are creating an object of the addC class by which we are implementing on the server side. Now we are using the rebind method, which is a static method of naming class. By static, I mean we can directly access the method from the class without creating an object. And let's assign a caption to the object. The rebind function's first parameter is the caption and the second parameter is the object that is to be captioned. Now let's see the client code. It's a public class which has a main method and it throws exception. Essentially what we need to do is we need to call the add method and store the values written by it in a variable. We don't and we can't access the add method directly, so we need to create an object of the remote interface. But the implementation is in the server code, for which we need to use a caption to look up the object using the registry. For that, we use the lookup method, which is a static method of naming class. Lookup method returns an object of server which we need to typecast it to the interface's objects type. Now we are calling the add method through the object obj and we are printing the result onto the console. The fifth and sixth steps of creating and running a server is done by compiling and running the client and the server programs. That is it for the video. I hope it helped you. Please like the video if you liked, and thank you for watching.